It's Monster Hunter again. Yay! Yes, this is Monster Hunter World. I have put in about 30 hours now into it. Kind of blew the 30 on third bit, so this is just gonna be a regular. Let's take a quick look at Monster Hunter and see where I am. So I'm currently doing a arena or Coliseum kind of bounty thing in someone else's world. So when you can capture monsters and have them and set them up in this arena situation where you can just basically, it lets you kill them in an environment where you don't have to chase them down every 2 seconds. Which I guess it's pretty nifty, so you can get your monster bearings in a sense. Get a better attribute as to what type of monster you're fighting. I'm getting my ass handed to me. Oh my god. And I'm dazed. Well, I'm dazed, might as well switch to... There we go. I've decided to start working on trying to get better with this weapon, the Insect Glaive, as opposed to the Hunting Horn. And it's been a lot of fun. I still don't know exactly how to use it. I just know that according to Monster Hunter Veterans, I need to fill all 3 of those little triangles under my weapon's durability meter. And that'll give me maximum output, but I just kind of spam the bug thing and hope for the best. Alright, we're on. Just gonna stab it in the face for a little bit. Or, you know. Cool. So usually these go on for much longer than that. I kind of just joined at the tail end of this monster slay. So far, it's been a lot of fun. In the 30 some odd hours I've played the game, I have never once felt bored with it. I always feel like there's something more to do. Even though, you know, you're kind of hunting the same monsters, but there's always different approaches and different ways to... Oh, I guess I'll go fuck myself. There's always different situations, and joining people to help them fight their story monster or just go on an expedition with a random group of people is a lot of fun. It feels like a genuine multiplayer, like it feels like an actual expedition when you have 4 people all clamoring to fight one monster. So here's the reward screen when you kill a monster. It gives you your quest reward breakdown. It gives you your bonus rewards if you use a voucher, which is a login bonus. You get, I think it's double the amount of items when you drop a monster. And it's shown here, so it's also scaled by rarity. Under the symbol, it says rarity 4 for the Baroth shell. The claws are rarity 4, so this is kind of base stuff. Rarity 5 would be like, let's see if I have anything rare 5 here. No. So rarity 5 would be for the Anjanath, which is the red T-Rex looking thing. The plate, it drops it at rank rarity level 5, which is obviously harder to get. So you use vouchers to increase the drop chance. This right here, the armor sphere is what you use to upgrade your armor. And depending on, you know, what kind of ranking armor you have, you might need more than one to upgrade it. And there's also armor spheres plus, which grant 5 rank to a level up. I'll show it once I hit the town here. You also get a breakdown of, you know, rewards and if you fainted, the party size, if your Palico levels up, if your Vigor Wasp thing levels up, and obviously I didn't do anything because I came a minute before the monster dropped. But so far the systems in place for this game aren't as confusing as they were when I started looking at the game. So like when someone would show me Monster Hunter, I would be like, this game looks like a lot, and I will probably never touch it. But looking at the systems now, it's okay, this makes sense. It's laid out in a way that makes sense in my brain. As opposed to just being like, okay, here's a bunch of shit in your face, and good luck. Though some of it is kind of, I don't want to say common sense, just kind of extrapolated for your own kind of, I want to say just in general knowledge that you might have in video games or like MMOs or this counts as this counts as an MMO or an RPG, excuse me. So if you have prior RPG knowledge, you will have no trouble understanding what's going on in this game. So this is the smith. So what I was saying about upgrade is, so let's say I want to upgrade a piece of armor. Let's say the Kodachi coil. Armor spheres are, the top ones are by 1, and you need 1 for level 1. See, but then the next level you need 2. So armor spheres are basically points you need to level up armor. So certain level ups need more points than others. Armor sphere, so the first column is how many points you use per armor sphere. So first one is 1, second one is 5. So for example, if I were to use 1, and then I could level it up again, and I can continuously level it up since I have 5. But if I were to use the 1, it would just be, you know, 1. So I need 5 points, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I don't have enough. So that's it's a decent system that makes, once you like look at it and you break it down, it makes sense. But if someone were to like try to explain it to you, you'd be like, wait, so what? And that's a lot of the systems in this game. Like, for example, you look at the equipment info, and okay, versus fire, versus water, versus thunder. And you get a good sense of what that armor piece is good for. But then you go over here, and then you're like, okay, what does affinity do? Element, thunder. Like, some of it just kind of like breaks down. So it's systems on top of systems, but those systems fundamentally make sense if you take in the time to not glaze over them, which is a problem I've heard a lot of people have with this type of game. We're so exposed to tutorials telling us, okay, so press X to shoot or press Y to jump. So you kind of get fatigued, and when you see a tutorial, you just like go into this mode where you're just like, okay, you start mashing, and you're like, okay, I know, and then it turns out you don't know, because this game is incredibly dense. Like, just in the Forge equipment, there's upgrade equipment, Palico equipment, and then there's different, like, for a bowgun, and for your Kinsects if you're using the Insect Glaive like I am. So it's like you can upgrade the bug that I shoot out, and then you can change its elements. You can buy a new one. So it's a lot of intricate systems, but again, somebody watching this might be like, oh, whoa, I can't play this game. It's a little too much for me. Once you play it for like a little bit, you can grasp it in a sense that makes a lot more, that's more cohesive, I want to say. And You don't necessarily have to play 30 hours to understand the game, but it doesn't help. It you know, it won't detriment it. So I'm just gonna go to my room really quick, because I did capture some things that I want to release into my room. Also, this little loading thing gives you some tips. So there are certain animals that you can capture and then release into your room, and have them like little pets almost. You go to your housekeeper here. You can place pets, so... Oh, I can only have one? No, I want multiple. So I can only place one? Okay. So I'm just gonna check, because there are login bonuses, and they aren't very well... I don't know. It's when it says login bonuses, it says still that you still have, like, it still shows cumulatively how many you've gotten, even if you haven't like picked them up or not. Okay. So I guess I can only have one little animal out at a time. Okay, that's fine, I guess. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is, since I have progressed through the story quite a bit, I will just stick with some of the starting areas, just to, you know, prevent any heavy spoilers, or, you know, try to keep it as contained as possible. Even though this game, to be completely honest, doesn't have a lot of spoilers, in a sense, as you know what's gonna happen, you know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure if you're a veteran Monster Hunter, this is all kind of not retreads, but more of like, okay, I've seen this, done this, I've encountered this before. So let's join a quest, or respond to an SOS. So let's do the encroaching Anjanath. What I do enjoy is that when you join a quest or an expedition or whatever, it gives you the breakdown of party members, and it gives you what they're using, and what they're using is basically their class. So let's say if there's, you know, say that you want to play as efficiently as possible. Let's say if you're maining, for example, if you're like me, I usually play with a hunting horn. If it's a particularly difficult boss, or not boss, if it's a particularly difficult monster, they're not bosses, and you want to maximize damage output, I would switch back to my hunting horn and just continuously buff people. But if it's a boss, or I'm just gonna say boss, fuck it. If it's a boss that, like, you know you can handle without necessarily changing up your loadout, it's whatever.
Our number one priority is to secure the base by taking out that encroaching Anjanath.
But the main reason for this gameplay loop is to get more monster materials and craft better armor. Personally, I do want the Anjanath set, the current monster that I'm hunting. I do have the chest piece, which is what I'm wearing currently. Where is this guy? There he is. Oh, that's the Rathalos. Let's just drop a pin here. Go here. It's closer. So it's more. Personally, I have not found a huge detriment in, you know, not wearing appropriate armor for an appropriate boss or encounter or whatever. Everything seems to work fine with everything. Let me... God damn it. It's more of a fashion thing at this point, until you get, I guess, to higher levels. Oh man, I'm just blowing this. Once you get to higher levels, I feel it evens out. Oh, where is this guy? Am I even going the right way? No. God damn it. So at this point, you're just... whatever looks good. Even though I am kind of min-maxing, almost. A good thing that this game does have is every single weapon is viable. Like, it doesn't matter if you're using the dual blades or if you're using the hunting horn or whatever. Whoa. Yep, there he is, and he's mad. Every single weapon in this game is 100% viable. So, like, I would not walk into this game thinking like, oh, well, I like using the dual blades, so I'm not going to be good at anything. Every single weapon is viable. And it's whatever you can get used to. Dude! So there is friendly fire in this. You don't take damage, but you do get knocked back. Which is annoying. I found it incredibly annoying when people do that to Grief. In the sense that when you kill the monster, someone can basically hit you, so you're always staggered and you can't harvest from the monster, and it's a huge dick move, and it's apparently been happening quite a lot. Personally, I haven't experienced it yet. Hopefully I don't. There are workarounds, but that should be the case. But going back to the weapons, personally I don't know how to use the Bug Glaive or Insect Glaive this so well. I just know that I need to have all three of my things up at all times. Because that's what gives me maximum output of damage. But it's fun experimenting with weapons that you don't know what they do. That's like, at one point I do want to use the gun lance because it looks cool. Ouch. It's also very difficult to get. It's also very easy to get very engrossed into a monster hunt. So I apologize for getting so quiet. Oh shit. That's one thing that this thing, I get it. I get why they did it. It makes sense. They only give you 3 continues throughout, like, within your party. So if somebody is, you know, either griefing or being not a great player and basically use up all the continues, that's it. Oops, that's definitely not what I wanted to say. So, like, I understand why they did the 3 strikes thing, but I feel like at least it should be 4, or at least it shouldn't... Like, if it's one person continuously dying... Oh boy. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. Ah, shit. There he goes again. So we only have 1 continue remaining. There we go. Just gonna stab it in the ass. For some reason, the Anjanath kind of stays in this idle state for a while. And it's very easy to get good hits on it. The problem with big, heavy weapons like this is that we're all, like, if I had my horn, I'm pretty sure we'd all just be stumbling around hitting each other, but luckily I am usually up in the air, just kind of throwing myself all over the place, so it kind of minimizes the bumping into other players. Let me just craft. And one thing that's really cool is that you can just craft things on the fly if you have the materials on you, which I feel is pretty neat. As opposed to having to go back to the campsite and like pick up mega potions or, you know, anything else you might need during a hunt. Like you might just pick up like, oh, I need a potion, so just like run by an herb and pick it up and make a potion right there on the bat, off the bat. Also, when this glistens like this, there's probably something there that's usually good. It's either like multiple harvests or a rare item, but since I'm maxed out, I can't really pick it up. From what I've seen, the multiplayer has been pretty fun. It's been... Oh shit, I'm tired. It's been very fair, I want to say. To the point there hasn't been any significant griefing from what I've seen, in my experience anyway. No one has been outright nasty or just kind of blatantly condescending or anything. I do enjoy the way they set up the multiplayer. If we kill this guy, we can stay in a party and just go on an expedition and like tackle another quest if we're so inclined. So it really does. It does condone, I guess, being in a party, which is cool, because sometimes, you know, you might find a party you synergize very well with, and you want to just stay in there and maybe go on other hunts, and you know, that's how you make some new PSN friends that you might be like, hey, you want to add each other, hey, you want to go on a hunt? Cool, let's kill some Rathaloses? Rathali? Oops, what did I do? Alright, get some sharpening. Just stay far away from its mouth. Oof, yeah. The thing is, I've died from this range with the fire blasts. Also, yeah, he does that. He really doesn't like it when monsters really hate when you heal. Ouch. This guy needs to be careful, he's gonna die. Ouch. Oh fuck. I do enjoy the... Whoa. Fuck. So yeah, that's what happens when you fail. This guy has a the Anjanath has a high rate of failure because of that attack alone. It does have a wind up to it, but sometimes it gets you. And I lost connection. Cool. I know, I'm aware. So that usually is what happens on Anjanath fights. Sometimes in success, though. But a lot of the time I have seen people who do get a little overzealous and they're like, hey, I'm gonna kill this guy, I'm helping, and they don't know the fact that, hey, like, we'd actually be able to get it done if you stopped trying to help so much because you have died twice already. But because like the first time I fought the Anjanath and I had help, I was like that and I got a little too overzealous and I ended up wiping us at least 4 times to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna lie back. And yes, that's exactly what I need.
Oh, that's right. Hurry back now.
Aquasac. Aquasac. But that harvesting thing is for you can basically make materials instead of harvesting them from, you know, the world. Yay! Oh, I need to actually kill this thing. Damn it. So let me just show off the harvest area real quick.
Where else can you find deals like these?
So this is the Botanical Research Center. You can set up anything you want to make more of, basically, and it'll harvest in the background while you do things. I thought you could increase the number of things you can cultivate, but apparently you can't. You can only increase the harvest box, which is fine. Hopefully in the future you can cultivate more than one thing. But you can do bugs, you can do plants, you can do honey. Fertilizing it makes it boosts the harvest level, so you get more. So I have 4 sets. If you want, you can also sell them for profit, but for now I'm just hoarding it for, because I honestly haven't used money or currency at all since I started. Right now I'm sitting on what, 28k? I have not found anything that I've been like, okay, I'm gonna spend a good chunk of money on this. Let me see if I can join another quest just to show off a little more of the monsters. There is a good variety of monsters. I'm very impressed with how every monster feels unique in a sense that I have not encountered 2 of the same, like, attack patterns, or as far as I've played, I've only fought a couple of the main quest bosses. So these are expeditions. You basically just go and patrol the lands, kill some monsters if you're up for it. Lots of people have issues with the Anjanath. That's why it's so, like, it's like the most requested one. This and the Tobakadachi. I'll do a Tobakadachi just to show it off. But yeah, there's a couple of monsters that are, you feel are cheap, but this Tobakadachi being one of them. But if you really look and like okay, so if you really strategize around what they do, they're not very difficult. And I feel like that's with a lot of monsters. A lot of the monsters in Monster Hunter are very, okay, so if I do this, they'll do X. And it's all because I am a total Monster Hunter novice. I basically use my weapon at all times. I don't set traps. I don't fire. There's these bugs that you can fire from your slingshot that blinds enemies. You could do that a lot of the time. I don't use paralyzing knives or poison knives. I don't do the things that would maximize my hunt success. So I really can't say that a monster's been difficult if I haven't used every avenue to take it down. on the topic of difficulty, I've already seen. Where is he? Okay, there he is. He always seems to spawn up here. Fuck. Already, dude? Again, fading this early is not good. I might switch to the horn, because this guy likes to shriek a lot. I could show off a new weapon as well. Now that I actually properly know how to use it. Let me switch to the horn, because this I'm using an electric weapon against an electric enemy. Apparently this wasn't a thing. You'd have to quit out the entirety of the expedition just to change your weapon, and luckily now you can just do it on the fly in the campsite, which is as someone who hasn't played the original Monster Hunters, that is a huge thing. And I can't believe it took them this long to implement that. Where is this thing? There it is. So there is a reason to why I'm doing these really strange attacks as opposed to... There we go. So putting on the earplugs helps negate the, Oh shit. Sick pet. Buff everyone real quick. So that's one cool thing about the hunting horn. It lets you play support and offense, as opposed to just being strictly support. Oh shit. Really? Oh god. It's a trifecta. Oh man. I've never seen this many monsters in one area. one cool thing is that the any of the aggroed monsters just kind of fuck off after you beat the quest or finish the hunt. If not, we'd have 2 other monsters ready to tear our faces off while we try to harvest this thing. But yeah, on the scale of difficulty, I have seen a couple of comparisons already to Dark Souls. I understand why that's a thing. You do fight giant monsters in Dark Souls, you fight giant monsters in this. But as opposed to Dark Souls, Monster Hunter makes a lot more sense as to why and what monsters you're fighting. And it actually gives you an explanation and different tactics to fight said monster. I'm not saying that Dark Souls does it, but the comparison is not very apt. Apparently Dark Souls is the buzz game to compare every other game to, and it is incredibly unfounded. Dark Souls is a game where you don't technically hunt. Well, in this case it makes some sense because you do get boss souls and then turn them into weapons. So I guess it does kind of work in the same Monster Hunter vein, but difficulty-wise, I don't see how you can compare the two. Well, in the sense that with Dark Souls, it's a lot more straightforward. It's, you know, you can firebomb an enemy to death. That's 100% accurate. Is it the best way? No. Is it doable? Yes. In Monster Hunter, you can wail on the monster until it dies. Is it an optimal way? Sometimes. Is it the only way? No. You can set up pitfall traps. You can, once it's set up, you can put a bunch of barrels around it and blow it to pieces. You can lure it to another monster and have them fight it out. There are tactics to approaching the boss fight that Dark Souls does not have. Dark Souls is a more linear type of boss situation as opposed to Monster Hunter. And I do see where the two intersect, but at the same time, I don't understand this obsession with making every game the Dark Souls of, because Dark Souls is not the end-all be-all of difficulty. Is Dark Souls difficult? Yes. It is. Is it fair? Is it unfair at times and cheap? Yes. But it's not the only game. It's basically like it's like saying this fight or Dragon Ball FighterZ is the Smash Brothers of fighting game, or to a lesser extent, Splatoon is the Call of Duty of shooters. You know, it's apt kind of. It's like it's things like that it's just like. It's basically saying, I don't know how to convey the difficulty in this game, so I'm just going to compare it to another game to make it seem like this game is just that. It's just a ripoff of an X game. And, like, I understand trying to establish a common ground between... Okay, it's easier to explain someone when you can compare it to something they know. But the issue being, a lot of people don't know the actual intricacies of Dark Souls, so they just write it off as it's a hard game, I'm never gonna play it. And if you compare, let's say, Monster Hunter to Dark Souls, you're basically having people, oh, if it's just like Dark Souls, I'll probably never play it, so I'm just gonna write this off as well. And I think that's unfair to the game. That's unfair to anybody who reads an article that says that or watches a video that says that. it's not an apt it's not an apt comparison that you should make, because there is a lot of negative stigma around Dark Souls as this really difficult, unapproachable, dense game, when in fact it's basically a hack and slash. And I'm saying this as a very passionate Dark Souls fan, and my opinion can be taken with a grain of salt. Dark Souls is not that hard. Dark Souls has moments of difficulty in it, but as a game at its very core, it is not a difficult game. It is a mechanically heavy based game. If you figure out the mechanics, you will do well. If you don't and expect the game to cater to how you play, you're going to have a bad time. And I will get into it because Dark Souls 1 is coming out in March, I believe. So I can go into further detail then, but for now, Monster Hunter World is not Dark Souls hard. It is hard, especially for this new wave of people playing the game. It is incredibly hard. But that's with everything. That's like if I had no... That's like if I don't play many sports games. That's like if I picked up the latest FIFA and started playing it, I would say this game is hard as hell, because I have no prior knowledge of the game, but I wouldn't say, oh, FIFA 2017 is the Dark Souls of soccer games. It doesn't make sense. Difficulty is not a game. Difficulty, like, oh, FIFA is hard. FIFA is confusing, mechanically heavy. Like, the discrepancy of, like, saying it's the Dark Souls of X makes it seem like, instead of, easy, medium, hard, it's easy, medium, hard Dark Souls. So it's just that I'm, like, very frustrated about. Again, as a Dark Souls player, it's very annoying seeing this comparison over and over and over again when I know it's not true. Because I've had a lot more fun playing this than honestly I've had playing some Dark Souls. I'm gonna see what this quest is about. I've had more fun playing this than playing some Dark Souls levels. For example, like right off the top of my head, damn it, so I'll play through this. The Shrine of Amana pre-patch. There is this shrine in Dark Souls 2 called the Shrine of Amana. It's this water level with these... If you look it up on YouTube, you will find it immediately, because it is Dark Souls 2, like, just the worst part of Dark Souls 2, period. And there were a lot of bad parts for Dark Souls 2. But it is literally... No, I think it's honestly... The Shrine of Amana is personally one of my least favorite areas in the Dark Souls as a series. That's including Blighttown, which is another infamous level. But Shrine of Amana has these mages that shoot these homing magic missiles that will track you down. Well, that was pre-patch. I'm not sure how it is now, but pre-patch, that area was impossible to get through. It took me 3 days to get through the Shrine of Amana because I would quit out of just sheer frustration. And with this game, I've played for 30 plus hours. I have never hit that wall. I will say I did get frustrated when I couldn't kill the Anjanath. That's whatever. But it was never to the point where I'm just like, fuck this. Fuck this.
You did it, partner.
Uh...
I'll be waiting over by the flag.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?